Yo everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Let's Play Steins Gate 0. I have to make sure I remember to put the 0 in. Last left off, we just last left off, we just started the game. And we're a few months away, a few months past. This has been a great start to this episode, I'm flubbing already. Basically, not much has happened yet, other than Okabe has refused to go back to try and save Krisu a second time. Several hours later, and he's helping out with this convention? I guess it's a convention. Anyway, several hours later, the convention was going well. See, even the game says it's a convention. After Professor Izaki's seminar, most of the students from my university went home, but I killed some time and came back. I wanted to hear the Victor Chondia, and there's plenty of words I don't know how to pronounce here, lecture. I headed to the hall with plenty of time to spare and saw Maho Hiyajo coming from the staff room. She was with a very tall foreigner. Was this Alexis Leskianin? It didn't seem like an American name, but maybe he was an immigrant like Krisu. Or at least descended from one. I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but the looks on their faces were so serious that I couldn't help but listen. Since they were both speaking in English, I could barely make out any of it, but I could tell from their voices that it wasn't a pleasant chat. Wait, did I just hear the word massacre? I hated the fact that I couldn't speak English. If I'd known this was going to happen, I would have gone to an English school. The two of them walked into the waiting room for the lecturers. It was located right next to the UPX theatre. I put together the few fragments I was able to understand. Fire at Krisu's house. Miss Maske was alright. Robbery. The police called off the investigation. Why was the FBI there? It didn't make sense. Federal Bureau of Investigation, an American police organization. It was attached to the Department of Justice. It handles crimes that occur on American soil. There are approximately 30,000 people who work for the FBI. When a crime takes place involving a wide area and multiple states, the FBI investigations under federal law. Huh. Let's go to the tips. Oh no. There's no, category for them. Because we're getting quite a few, different, what's the word I'm looking for? Secret organizations, or not secret organizations, investigations like the FBI, the SRV. I wouldn't be surprised if we get the MI6 at some point. Wait, hang on, what's that? I just saw the form in the background. FN+2 N plus. But yeah, that, okay. Sorry. Doesn't make sense. I think that's what they were saying. Chris's house? Do they mean where she lived in America? Her mother should still live in America. Is this where the fire was? And the words like robbery and the investigation was called off. I really want to know more. I stood there worried until it was time for the lecture to begin. It's also really strange because it's in this timeline. Krisu never knew Okabe. Like, it's not like you could say I'm a friend of hers because they've never met. It's such a weird thing. With nothing else to do, I went inside the theatre. I could tell either by looking at the size of the crowd going inside, but it was a very high energy crowd. The atmosphere was clearly different from than the Izaki's seminar, which was mostly students there for credit. This place was nearly filled with a crowd of scientists and people who wanted to learn about cutting-edge technology. Victor Chonada's researchers had published a slate of papers in Science recently, and had gotten a lot of media attention. Maybe that was why. Were there any open seats? I found a single one open at the edge. But when I looked at who was sitting next to me, I moaned. Oh hey, you again? Mocha Kuru... I can never say her surname, her family name. Mocha Kiryu was there. She was speaking to no one, just typing endlessly on her phone. I'd once named her Shining Finger because of incredible typing speed. And she was as fast as ever? Who was she talking to? I didn't even want to imagine. I quickly turned away and looked for another seat. Dr. Lee Skien reached the podium almost at the exact instant I sat down. There was a huge wave of applause. But then they saw a tiny little girl come up next to him. The applause faded into confused murmurs. Maho must have expected this. The expression didn't change in the slightest as she stood there next to the professor. In fact, when she took the microphone from the professor and looked around the theatre, she looked like she belonged there. Ladies and gentlemen, first, Dr. Leskian began to speak in English. When he made eye contact with Maho, she began to interpret. Everyone, thank you for coming to my seminar. Why do I keep mixing up that word? My name is Alexian. I am with... Why is everyone so complicated with their stupid names? With Victor University's Brain Science Institute. My specialty is brain signal processing systems and artificial intelligence theory. I'm here with my assistant, Maho Hyojo. I'm also a researcher at the Institute, working under the professor. I'm glad to meet you all. The audience started murmuring again. That was the same way I responded when I had met her. Well, that'll happen. Yeah. I'd like to get right into it by introducing some of the cutting-edge research we're doing. The topic we're discussing today is the artificial intelligence revolution. Sorry, I'm hearing his voice slightly sometimes. It's really put me off. The artificial intelligence revolution. But I think the system we're going to demonstrate today goes beyond anything you've ever imagined. Artificial intelligence, often shortened to AI. There have been many different definitions for this word since its creation. For example, some use to refer to control system with self-directed learning compatibility, while others use it to refer to a program whose thought routines mirror humans. Dr. Learskin stood in front of the laptop that had been placed on the podium and started to type. This computer is linked to one of the supercomputers in our labs. Oh, don't turn on the projectors just yet. One of the staffers was about to display the laptop screen on the front projector. Some kind of important program must be booting up because Maho stopped them. And probably you don't want to show the connecting, the IP addresses and whatnot publicly. Sorry, this stuff isn't complete yet. The screen's filled with programs that aren't very pretty to look at. I'd rather let you see me naked than let you see these lousy programs. If there are any engineers in the audience today, you know what I'm talking about, right? Some of the audience got the professor's joke and laughed. While it's booting up, I'll go over the basic idea of the system. There's another projected at the center of the stage. A diagram appeared on the screen. On the top of the diagram was a Japanese translation for the general audience. Oh god, lots of science. Why did these games start with so much science? An analysis of neural pulse signals relating to memory stored in the temporal lobe. This is all sounding very familiar. An electrical signal that travels through the human nerve cells. It's used to quickly spread information between cells. Okay. Part of this cerebellum, located at the side of the brain, it controls memory, judgment, emotional restraint, hearing, and more. It's also used for assessing the hippocampus, which is on the edge of the cerebellum. I knew that title well. In fact, I'm sure I could never forget it. That was the title of the essay written by the 17-year-old genius and published in Science. In a science magazine, maybe? Published in Science. She had completely analysed the nerve impulse patterns that govern human memory and used that to digitize the memory themselves into data. And she had used that to invent the time loop machine right in front of my eyes. Though none of that had actually happened anymore. This paper appeared in Science. I'm guessing that's the name of the magazine. But still, just called it Science. It should be Science Magazine or something. So I just like the idea. We have it in Science. Sorry, I'll stop being a child. Never. This paper appeared in Science, and I'm sure some of you have seen it before. This theory was proposed and finalized by a brilliant Japanese member of our team. Human memories are stored in the central cortex, practically the temporal the temporal lobe. They're a lot like flash memory. So, cerebral cortex, the grey-coloured external layer of the human brain. It's only a few millimeters thick, but consists of over 10 billion neurons that can and countless layers. The central core governing sensation, movement, and mental activity. Different parts handle different functions. Huh. The part of the brain that reads and writes this flash memory is called the hippocampus gyrus. The hippocampus gyrus is found on the outside edge of the hippocampus. It's part of the brain that controls memories and spiritual recognition. It's responsible for spatial processing, as well as the sensation of being familiar with a situation or place. It plays an important role in memory encoding and retrieval. Dr. Lieskin pointed at the diagram of the brain and hippocampus on the screen. The brain functions by sending electronical signals between cells called neurons, also referred to as nerve cells. Cells specialized for information processing. electronical pulse flows through these cells to share various types of information, making them a form of transmission mechanism. Oops. Memories are actually just transmissions, just the transmission of these electronical signals, and it's the hippocampus gyrus that controls them. In other words, memories are created by passing electronical signals in and out of the hippocampus gyrus. So, Krisu Masuke, the Japanese scientist who wrote this paper, Miss Masuke came up with an idea. Electrical signals, signal patterns, the cerebral cortex. Mars started to have trouble with her interpreting. She was getting confused. No matter how good you were with languages, interpreting for a long period of time had to be difficult. I'd once read an article on the internet that said that even a professional can't do it for more than 20 minutes. International conferences and live broadcasts from overseas were actually handled by a team of people switching off. That makes sense. Or maybe she was having trouble because Chris's name came up? Dr. Leiskin saw this, she was having trouble, and cut himself off. I'm sorry, Miss Masuke focused on the pattern of electrical signals going in and out of the hippocampus gyrus. By analysing the pattern, she was able to get complete data on which memory in the cerebral cortex is corresponded to. This created the basic theory that lets us take the vague, analog thing called memories and turn it into a digital combination of electrical signals. The result was her paper, which appeared in Science. And right now, our team is using that theory to create a system to turn a person's memory into digital data. A wave of whispers swept across the theatre. Whisper, 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 whisper. Which means we can store and access a human's memory on a computer. The whisper turned into a loud roar. Wow! I see. So even after her death, Chris's research was being carried on. Yeah, I mean, once again, that's essentially what the time loop machine was. Of course, maybe it was natural that would be. That was the basic theory for time looping, which I had proven myself. Even if I could never prove it to anyone else in the Alpha World line. My memories had been turned into data and stored on a computer. There was no doubt about that. And what Dr. Leiskin was talking about right now was the basic technology required for that process. There are two major projects we're working on right now. One uses a system for medical applications. Oh, that makes sense. The side of the projector changed. This project is a joint effort with the the other lab. The idea is to use the hippocampus gyrus to put the brain memory stored on a computer back into the brain. Someone who looked like a grad student in the front row shouted, "Incredible!" Dr. Leiskin didn't seem practically put off by the interruption. Maho continued her interpretation. Incredible, huh? I can understand how you feel. I would feel the same way in your position. But we feel this research is making real progress. How wonderful would it be if we can make this work? One example would be human memory problems caused by aging or Alzheimer's. This would be a form of symptomatic treatment induced not to symptomatic therapy, treatment intended not to cure the cause of the disease, but to alleviate its symptoms and relieve pain. Painkillers and fever reducers are examples of this. We could automatically back up the patient's memories as data. Even if the patient loses their memories, we could just go to their PC and reinstall them. We think this would be a way to stop memory loss. In the end, we hope to make memory data stored on your PC constantly accessible via the hippocampus gyrus. This would mean that if brain functionality was lost, for example, if the brain was badly damaged or atrophied, brain functionality could still be maintained. It would be like a form of external storage. A data storage unit that can be detached from the computer or cell phone or other electronic devices. Some external include hard drives and memory flash memory. A strange feeling gripped the hall. Part of it was shock and the feeling that they were witnessing the announcement of incredible technology. Part of it was skepticism that a system like this could ever actually work. Part of it was the revolution of the idea of playing around with the human brain like that. An excitement born from all those things passed from one member of the crowd to another. Dr. Linskin raised his hand to encourage questioners. Looks like we need to take some questions before we move on to the next project. I'll answer anything I can, go ahead. Many hands were raised. I could tell there was a wide age range on people interested. Both young and old were raising their hands. Dr. Linskin pointed to a questioner. This was the first question. Sampling would be required when digitalizing analog memories. Does that mean any information would be lost? They had to take in data at regular intervals. The professor nodded as he listened to the question in Japanese and began to respond in English when the speaker finished. Maybe he was able to understand Japanese, if not speak it? To put your question another way, you're saying that when you're saving a live recording of an orchestra as a WAV file, it's impossible to record everything. That's a good question, and it's one of the biggest problems facing our research right now. If the network within the brain consisted simply of neurotransmitters turning on and off, that is, exchanging binary data, the problem would be simple. That would be the exact same thing as computers' digital data. But we know that neurotransmissions and electrical signals from an analog network within the brain. The only way we have to deal with this problem right now is to sample at a higher rate. To continue our music example, instead of sampling at 44.1 kHz, we sample at 48 kHz instead of okay, so they just bumped it up. This allows us to recreate something very close to the original analog data digitally. Little by little, the mood in the room was turned into disappointment. People were beginning to wonder if this was just a pretty theory that wouldn't work in reality. More questions came. All the questions were skeptical of the professor's theory, and many of them seemed to be outright challenging him. I started to get upset. This was Dr. the Skinnian's research, but it was also Chris's. I knew better than anyone that it worked, and the sight of so many people refusing to give him a chance infuriated me. Were these people real scientists? To be fair, scientists question a lot. They challenge, and is that a banana on the back of his laptop? That's amazing. Sorry. I've seen so many different versions of the apple, like the pear, whatnot, but a banana is great. Were these people real scientists? I tried to keep myself under control and look back towards the podium. Was she mad? She certainly looked disappointed. Dr. Leiskin was very polite with the rude questions, acknowledging the problems with the theory. She was very different. Her anger was starting to seep into her interpretation too. I felt a kind of kinship with her. The question and answer session continued. For a medical standpoint, this is just reckless. It's absolutely impossible to rewrite digital data back into the brain. It's insane. I read the essay on science, and I have to say I don't believe in it. Especially since the lead author was a 17-year-old girl. That was the one thing I couldn't ignore. Listen. What is it with Okabe and, interrupting science conferences? Objection! The two people on stage and the entire audience all turned towards me at once. How do you know it wouldn't work when you haven't even tried? The world's full of technologies that people never thought would work. But they exist now because people overcame these problems. Criticism alone doesn't help anything. The whole theatre went silent. But I didn't regret standing up. On the stage, Maho was staring at me in shock. And as for Dr. Leiskin, I saw a flash of white teeth as our eyes met. Awesome. He's really something. He started to applaud. Huh? Why was he applauding? That just made things embarrassing. Awesome. He's really something, the professor says. Mao translated the professor's word for me to hear. But scientists must remain calm at all times. The only time when you're allowed to yell is when your experiment succeeds and you say, "We did it." They aren't mad scientists. Go. That's all you need, he says. I'm sorry. I lowered my head and sat down. I thought I was calm, but I guess I let my emotions get away from me. I hadn't grown up at all in the past 6 months. If Chrissy were here, she'd make fun of me. Again. I could feel the rest of the audience staring at me coldly. It hurt. If I could have left, I would have wanted to, but I was too interested in hearing the rest of Dr. Linskin's talk to move. Alright, anyway, moving on. But first, how about a round of applause for our brave audience member? Stop making it more awkward! Oh no, please no. Challengers like him are the ones who advance scientists and come up with the real amazing theories. He may be capable of becoming the third Einstein. Albert Einstein, 1879 to 1955, a German Jew known as the father of modern physics. He developed many important theories, including the theory of general relativity and the theory of space relativity, winner of the 1921 Nobel Prize in Physics. Are you saying third? Because I'm going to go out on a limb and say Chris, who is the second. Oh, okay. By the way, the second Einstein is my little assistant here. Stop messing around, Professor. The audience chuckled. Sheesh. Now then, I'm going to take a break from interrupting. The next, interpreted. The next interpreter is far better than I am. This is our second project and the one we put most of our effort towards. The Amadeus system. When she finished speaking, Mo walked to the back of the stage. At Dr. Linskin's signal, the PC was displayed on the projector. And then I heard a voice. Nice to meet you, everyone. The murmuring got louder than before, but I felt more uncertain than surprised. On the screen, there was a detailed 3D model of Moha, the girl who'd just been interpreting. By the way, this model was made by the famous Drinkworks Studios. You've probably seen their movies. An American CG movie production company. Oh, I wonder what they're referencing towards. Maho chimed in front of the back screen. Chimed in front of the back, from the back of the stage. Wow. Voice was done by a Japanese company, Yamana, using my voice samples. In the 2012 and sell artificial voice software and DTM desktop music software for PCs. This was CG? It sure looked real to me. The professor said something into the laptop's microphone, and then the 3D model of Moha on the screen opened its mouth. I am Moha Haruji. To be precise, I'm based on the Maho who existed 78 hours and 22 minutes ago. If you listen carefully, you might be able to hear something slightly off, but it sounded far more human than any artificial voice I'd ever heard. I've been listening to your questions, and I was wondering why the professor didn't introduce me earlier. I've thought for a while that the professor was has a bit of a mean streak in him. You've got that right. Wait, which one is talking? Oh, okay, they're all... Wait. Spoke with a slightly irritated expression. Wait, no! Ah! This is so confusing! And the Maho on the wall nodded in agreement. Dr. Linskin simply smiled. What's going on here? What part of this was their biggest project? The rest of the audience didn't seem to have any more clue than I did. Many of you may be wondering whether it's possible to extract the humans' memories as data, save them and use them. You're wondering if it's really something we can do. So I'll put this question on you. If not, what am I? I'm based on off data that was extracted from Moho's brain 78 hours and 23 minutes ago. What did she say? The professor said something like else in rapid English and asked. The professor said something else in rapid English and asked the Moho on the screen to translate it. But she, if she was the right word, hesitated and went silent. I looked at the real Maho as she responded the exact same way. Professor, is it alright if... Professor, is it alright if I report that sexual harassment to the university? What? Dr. Linskin laughed cheerfully and responded to her. The conversation was in quick English and over half the audience couldn't understand it. The real Moho sighed and took back the microphone. Well, the professor told this Andreas system, which is based off my memories, to answer a question. It was stuff like how old I was when I stopped taking baths with my dad. or when did I first fall in love? He said any of those questions would be answerable. Oh geez, you don't have to translate anymore. Would you stop that? It's embarrassing. I'm not answering any question like that. What the hell is going on? The professor said something else, and the mohawk on the screen groaned and turned away. I'm definitely not telling you my credit card number. I don't even remember what kind of pajamas I was wearing a week ago. What was this? It was so natural I couldn't tell at first, but this was something unbelievable, wasn't it? It felt very difficult that a typical AI, I could tell that much. It wasn't answering the questions it was given, and because they were embarrassing? Was it programmed to respond like that to certain questions for the purpose of this demonstration? Was it possible that this was that was all, but if that conversation wasn't programmed in advance? The rest of the crowd seemed to reach the same conclusion I did, and the whispers started to turn into surprise. Listen, can you do something about this little troublemaker? I know what he's trying to do, but it's embarrassing. The copy of Moho was the copy of Moho was complaining to the original. It felt like it was watching a pair of twin sisters talking. Well, since the little troublemaker, that is Dr. Leyskin, is having too much fun to explain what's going on here, I will. Moho walked back to the professor. I think everyone's already figured this out, but Darius is deciding on its own what it can and can't talk about, and what it does and doesn't want to talk about. We haven't programmed any of this into her at all. I knew it. It's using the memories we gave it to make its own autonomous decisions. The Maho on screen suddenly took over for her. And there's another thing, which is the exact opposite of the medical applications we discussed. The research team spends a lot of time arguing about this, but I essentially forgot about unnecessary information. Or rather, it became unable to access those memories just like all of you. For example, the colour of the pajamas I wore a week ago. There's no reason I shouldn't know this, but right now I can't remember it. That's because this information isn't necessary for my survival. The same goes for all of you. Unless someone points a gun at you and tells me what colour your pajamas were. I feel like there's a need to remember what my pajamas are now. So as you can see, Darius' memories, inputs and outputs are very similar to humans. This result surprised us too, and we're currently researching it, but we still don't know exactly how it works. As Maho finishes up, Dr. Laneskin took the microphone back. She resumed interpreting as he continued the lecture. Another thing that surprised us is that Amadeus is capable of deliberate lies. By deliberate, I mean it lies of its own free will, not as a result of any programming error. Lies are one method that humans use to communicate with one another. And just like a human, Amadeus can use its memories to decide if lying would be best. If so, it would lie without hesitation. Don't tell them that, Professor. I can't lie without hesitation. I have a conscience, you know. I'm so sorry, and Dr. Leanskin was cut off. He seemed to be hesitating. Mao didn't seem especially surprised by this. Maybe she knew the reason. But the moment passed and the professor continued. Huh. And Moho translated his words like there was nothing shocking about them all. As we are continuing research, we eventually believed that it may be possible to give Adaris a soul, just like living humans. I was stunned. A soul? Should one of the leading brain scientists of the world really be using a word with such a vague definition? This would mean the creation of artificial intelligence in the true sense. The whole hall got very quiet, and it was sheer chaos for a while after that, as everyone tried to debate their own personal theories with Dr. Linsken at once. Huh. Huh. Indeed. I think this is a good place to end for now. Thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye!